Now, you might remember that recently on the show we had Miranda, who's setting up a new documentary series called Pink Confinement, and we're now joined by one of the contributors of that documentary series, Shannon Jordan. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, and yourself?
I'm doing smashing. So, what is your story?
I was locked up for 10 years, committing armed robbery.
Mm,
I was charged to 10 years to the door. And it's just been a experience from outside and inside.
mm,
And I just feel like the route that Miranda is taking, I feel like that is the right route because
mm.
we need people to understand and see and hear what we have experienced in there and to know, before you end up in a place like that, see if we can change minds and
Yeah.
hearts of others.
And what was it like in prison?
It's when you talk about it now, you could probably laugh about it, but
Mm,
it was a serious matter.
yeah.
It's basically no, 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 no was everything, and you just always locked inside of a dorm. And the beginning of my sentence, it was much easier. They had enough staff.
Mm,
They had like red call, movie call, things to keep you active to get out of your mind of being incarcerated. But as the time progressed, it was less officers and more inmates, and they just kind of like put the prison on lockdown. So that means you really had to stay in the dormitory
yeah.
all day long. Here and there, you got 30 seconds, 30 minutes on the little basketball court where you had to be locked in at. But it tremendously changed. You were always able to be in your mind and think about what you experienced.
Mm. And it's one thing to have 10 years without being able to live your life, but another thing to have those 10 years in an unpleasant environment, really, isn't it?
Yes, it's inhumane.
Mm.
Excuse me, it's inhumane. It's disrespectful. As coming in the door, they like take your little womanhood from you. Every
Mm.
place you have to go that's outside or in another place, you have to squat and cough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's not good at all. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm.
Um, it's the way they talk to you. Like I said, if you're trying to better yourself or whatever the case may be, it's more like no for everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like, it's just not a great experience, but it was a learning lesson.
Yeah. Do you think that some people, though, for certain crimes, perhaps do deserve this treatment, or do you think that there still needs to be some humanity regardless?
Well, it still needs to be some humanity,
Mm.
and when you do your crime, you do your time, basically.
Yeah.
That's for everybody. But it shouldn't have to be so harsh like that.
Yeah.
You understand? Like if it's somebody locked up in prison for drugs, send them to a drug rehab. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? If it's somebody locked up for murdering somebody, then yeah, you send them to prison. But when it's like, things that they can have changes on or shoplifting and stuff, that don't teach them anything. You just lock them and throw them away, and then they come back out and they repeat the same action
Yeah.
because you didn't open up a class for them, or what I'm saying, something that they can learn and do something different.
That's the thing, isn't it? Because a lot of the time, prison doesn't really work. And you mentioned drugs there. It's argued by a lot of people that they shouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
imprisoned. It should be treated as more of a health condition because, I mean,
Yeah,
prisons are overcrowded
treatment.
as well, aren't they? So
Exactly.
it fixed that.
Exactly. And they don't have enough staff. And so,
Yeah.
people are dying. They're having gangbangers jumping on people. It's a lot of things that they are doing that they don't have any control over anymore because they don't have enough staff to be here and there
Mm.
at the same time. So while you're over there, they may be over there and then, hey, somebody's getting it over here.
Yeah.
So, it's very serious. And I'm not gonna say, what I'm saying, yeah, it's not good to be there, but I appreciate it because it helps me to change my life around and to change who I am as a person and to be a better person and to not be a product of my environment. So the things that I used to do, I don't do anymore.
Yeah.
So the streets that I used to hang, I don't hang anymore. So, you know, it actually blessed my life two ways.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. And the reoffending statistics are quite shocking, actually. They'd surprise most people. So how did you manage to not fall into those statistics?
Actually, I managed to not fall into the statistic as far as going back to the gutter, but to, you know, just keep trying. This is not easy. Yeah. I haven't got there yet, but it's an everyday push. Every day I push, and I try to find different things that can better myself. Until I might hear, even out here, I hear a lot of no's. Until one day it's going to be a yes, and that's going to be the best yes. So I'm understanding that, you know what I'm saying, it ain't all peaches and cream, because I've got out here and I've put in for jobs, and just because of my charge alone, they do a background check and I don't get the job. So it's a struggle for me. I'm not able to work, you know what I'm saying, due to my crime and them running a background check. So, you know, I do believe when we are released from prison, from whatever that we have done, if the system made it, when we are released, I feel like that the world should understand that, meaning we should have a second chance. When we go sign for them jobs, we don't need them looking up and seeing if we had a background, because that's called pass. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. And so for your crime, you do your time.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the documentary, Pink Confinement, what kind of things are you contributing to the series?
Basically, I'm telling them my story, my truth. You know, my whole 10-year truth, my story about being in prison and before prison, and what happened before I arrived in prison due to mental stability. And I really, really like what she's doing, because it's on a professional level. Yeah. And it's something that, you know what I'm saying, God is in the midst, because, you know, it's a lot going on in this world, and a lot of people need to hear it to prevent it, because it's just dangerous out here. And if they see things like that, more of that, instead of more of a lot of things that they like to watch, it'll kind of strike them up, you know what I'm saying? And not trying to scare nobody, but let them know what's true and what's real and what'll be taken from you if you put yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
It take a manhood and a womanhood.
And what actually made you want to share your story on the series? Because
the more I share my story, the more I heal myself.
Yeah.
You know, just because I'm free doesn't mean that I'm happy-go-lucky. I still mourn. I still be in my mind about the situation. It still bothers me. I still have a lot of the institution ways, you know what I'm saying, due to, you know, the long time and the process of being in there. And also, I still have a lot of their ways because of what's going on in the world. It makes you have no choice but to have prison ways and to keep yourself, you know what I'm saying, at bay, and so you won't be in the mix of things that you shouldn't be in the mix of.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the documentary is called Pink Confinement, and it will be out soon. And Shannon, many thanks for coming on today. It's been very interesting to talk to you.
Thank you for having me.